It's the Women's Running Podcast. In this episode, we hang out with Anna McNuff, and she's every bit as lovely as you would imagine. Anna is the sort of adventurer you want your daughter to be. Fearless, well-travelled, bloody lovely, and, almost incredibly, very relatable. In between adventuring, she has found time to be an ambassador for GirlGuiding, as well as to write books about her incredible exploits, from cycling through every state in America to running across New Zealand. Her latest book, 100 Adventures to Have Before You Grow Up, is a must-have gift for every girl in your life, no matter what age they are. In it, she explains how we can all have adventures, big or small, and that our lives will be all the richer for them. Right now, we're eagerly awaiting the launch of her next book, describing how she ran 2,300 miles across the UK barefoot in 2019. I met up with Anna at the National Running Show back in January. The night before, we'd got our wine on at the networking dinner, so we have a bit of a chat about that. But we also talk about barefoot running, about her rowing background, her secret history of having a proper grown-up job, about the feeling of being caged, on seeking adventure, on loving words, on falling in love with the world, and on falling in love with Jamie McDonald, otherwise known as Adventure Man. And she's so lovely that she asks me questions too, so there's a small tedious section in there where I talk about Sydenham. Sorry about that. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think and who else you'd like to listen to, and I will get on it. Have you got the latest copy of Women's Running? If you're missing it, the easiest way to get hold of a copy is to go to our online shop at shop.womensrunning.co.uk. Or you could get it delivered direct to your door every month by subscribing. If you prefer instant access, then digital is for you. You can buy the digital edition at pocketmags.com or download the app to your phone or tablet via your app store, and you can read it straight away wherever you are. For all the different ways to read the magazine, go to shop.womensrunning.co.uk. I've just had this rolling the whole time just to make sure. This is Dave's dictaphone.
Go on, Dave.
We're just hoping that it works.
Okay, cool, brilliant.
I think it works. I think it's great.
It looks fantastic.
I know.
It's alien.
It's from 1982 or something, isn't it? It's marvellous.
Beautiful.
I was I went on the Park Run podcast with Vassos. Have you done that one? Yeah.
Every weekly time, yeah.
And he was really nice. It was lovely. And he said, "Oh, I can do it over Skype." And I said, "No, I want to."
Yeah.
I want to come and speak to you in person. I hate Skype anyway.
Yeah, because he lives in London anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'll just come down and see you.
Yeah.
And I went there on a bit of a recce because I thought, I'll come along, I'll see what equipment you use.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe we can use the same when we do our podcast.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he's ex-BBC and it's just great big sound recording equipment and a sound recording man.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was like, oh no, I don't run to that. I've got my kind of 50 quid Dick's phone.
Do you know what? I don't think it matters at all because I think people want it. They can hear it. It needs to be more natural. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I know, because I had a microphone for this.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was a bit like, I feel a bit weird here. But I was just sitting in his living room, just talking about race discrepancies between the sexes and things like that.
Really?
You know, the usual thing that I'm banging about.
Yeah.
But, so how was last night? Did you have fun last night?
Do you know what? I actually did. Well, it was because normally those kind of things, they're not really my thing.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed myself. I actually got in and I had a really good time.
Yeah, I thought that I would go there thinking I've got to keep my face on.
Yeah.
And I have to be kind of networking and all that sort of stuff. But actually, it was lovely.
I thought
full
it was
of
really
lovely
nice.
people.
That's what I thought. In terms of networking, it was different to any networking thing I've been before because I didn't speak to anyone that I'd not met before. Yeah. But equally, it didn't feel wanky networking. I just had a nice time.
It really didn't.
No.
It really did. I thought it was just that lovely, you know, when, what's his face, on stage and he said, you can be a running bore, basically.
Yeah.
You know, normally you turn around to someone that you don't know and start talking about running and they're just yawning.
Yeah.
But in this, everyone's like, oh yeah, what is your week mileage?
It felt more like a social, like a running club social. Yeah. I think that's what it felt like.
It's just lovely to talk to other runners, isn't it? Always.
I did, yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed myself. But then, I don't know how you are, then I got back at 11 o'clock and then I felt I needed to decompress. Yeah. So I then stayed up for 2 hours, watching The Voice until I'm on catch up and I was like, okay, now I feel ready to go to sleep. So I'm just, Yeah.
I came back. I got into bed and then I just thought I need to do some research on Anna McNuff.
Oh, really?
Interviewing her tomorrow.
You know everything on me anyway.
I thought I know.
Oh,
I know.
God.
But I have a bit of a Google.
Yeah.
And so I Googled. I was reading lots of interviews that I've read already and lots of bits and pieces, lots of BBC stuff. But it was going back further in time. It was kind of finding out. It was reading like the Guardian articles about you when you know, like 2015 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also, what I thought was very interesting was when I put in Anna McNuff wiki.
Oh yeah.
What came up was Jamie.
How funny!
You don't have a wiki.
No, I've got a draft of it, but it needs to get up. That Wikipedia page has gone to the bottom of my to-do list for 3 years. Every time, and I get someone that's doing my admin helping me, and then they're like, "Okay, I'll do the Wikipedia," and I'm like, "There's too much."
Like there was nothing, and so there was Jamie's page.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, there must be. And then I searched within Wiki for Anna McNuff.
My rowing thing.
And then, it was a bit down the bottom and said, do you mean rowing?
Yeah, that's it. Even my rowing was out from Poland. Yeah, that's it. I know. It's really funny, isn't it? No, I'm on it. I'm in the process.
Come on,
yeah, I know.
God.
That is funny, though. Me and Jay pop up on each other's results quite a lot, which I think is quite cool.
That is quite cool.
Yeah.
That is quite cool. How long have you guys been together?
5 years. Yeah.
How did you meet? Like, so you're like adventure woman.
Yeah.
He's like adventure man.
Yeah.
There's no like. I don't know why I'm saying like. You
No,
are both adventure people.
We are adventure people.
Did you like go on kind of Match.com for adventure people?
No, we we got put in touch by a mutual friend, but we'd actually already had an exchange a couple of years before that, because when I was new to Twitter, I saw that he was running across Canada, and I just thought, there's a skinny guy from Gloucester running across Canada. I thought, that is pretty impressive. Didn't think anything more of it, but I donated to his, gave him 25 quid or whatever. He was raising money for kids' hospitals. And then I got this lovely personal email. I mean, when does that ever happen? You know, you donate to this void of whatever is Virgin Just Giving. And at that point, it was so early on the run, he was personally emailing everyone that... So he sent me this lovely email. I know, just shows you what a lovely boy he is. And so then I couldn't believe he emailed, and as we had an exchange about the words redunculous and amazeballs or whatever, and that was that, and that was it. Nothing, you know. Then he did his run across and he was running across Canada while I was cycling through the 50 states. So we were kind of doing this, and then 2 years went by, and he'd set up a charity. He needed an ambassador for this charity to raise the profile, and a mutual friend said, "Oh, there's this girl running the length of New Zealand. You should get her to have a chat. You know, you sounds like she'd be right up for it." And and then basically he pestered me to get me to fundraise for his charity, because I'm terrible at fundraising, and that's how we met. But we met just before I went to New Zealand, and then I think because I was away, there was space for like a friendship to build up, and so we just chatted over Skype for 6 months, with me thinking, I can't go out with a skinny boy from Gloucester. I'm used to going out with 6'3" strapping rowers, and he's unlike anything I've met before, but I really like him and I want to speak to him all the time, and he was going through the same thing. Yeah.
Oh wow. And you live in Gloucester?
Now I do, yeah. So we were together for 6 months, and then I basically moved to Gloucester. I was just like, right, that's it. Well, I'm going to move to Bristol. And then he said, why don't you just move to Gloucester? And I said, do you want me to move to Gloucester? Yes. Yeah, so Gloucester's my home. Yeah, so anyway, there's the long story. But yeah, so kind of through adventure, but... Yeah, it's totally left field for both of us. But the peas in the pod, just the right.
Yeah, it does seem like it. Yeah, it really seems like it.
We have such a laugh. But it's really nice to have someone to come home with and chat about. Like when I was talking to him about the talk here yesterday, and I was saying it's a really big space, and you know your energy, and you have to project, and because he does the same thing, he gets it, so we geek out and stuff like that. So.
That's lovely. Yeah. But prior to Gloucester, you're a London girl?
London girl, Kingston upon Thames. Where are you born?
Sydenham.
Sydenham.
So I'm south east.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know where Sydenham is.
Yeah. Forest Hill, that kind of way.
Yeah.
But, my dad lives in Kingston.
Oh, so, does he? Really?
Yeah.
Do you go and visit him?
Occasionally, yeah.
I mean, Kingston, I always say to people, Jamie loves it as a Gloucester boy because it's got everything you need. Like you don't need to go into town because Kingston's got everything. Yeah.
And it's quite useful for us living in the West Country because the travel to Kingston is fine, isn't it?
Of course.
You don't want to go out with an EastEnder.
Yeah. And my brother lives in West Norwood, so that's not too far from Sydenham, is it? That's like
that's close.
Dulwich, all that. Yeah.
All around that bit.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Do you love living in Bath?
I love living in Bath. I really dislike the idea of living in London, because I left when I was 19, so it was a very, very long time ago.
Yeah.
But because it was kind of Sydenham and Forest Hill and kind of, you don't really feel like a Londoner so much. You're kind of, it's just suburbs really.
Yeah.
I feel like a complete foreigner when I go there. Like, I don't know what tube, what I'm supposed to go on. I don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
If someone says any kind of borough of London that is outside of the Sydenham Forest Hill kind of massive, or outside of Kingston.
Yeah.
I have no idea where it is.
Blank face.
No, it's like, I live in Clapham. Oh, good. I don't know where that is. So,
oh my God, it is a different mindset. I think that's the biggest thing about living in London or living out of it. I just feel like people outside of London, you've got a bit more perspective, everything's slower, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. So, okay, London to Gloucester, but in the meantime, so you started off, there was this rowing thing.
Yeah, there was a rowing thing. Yeah, it's so weird to think about it now, because at the time, so bear in mind, so I grew up 2 Olympian parents. Everything we did was...
What did they do? What were their sports? Rowing. Oh.
So I grew up and they went to Moscow 1980. So all I ever heard when I was growing up was rowing. And they love rowing. And all their friends are rowing. And, it was always being dragged to Henley Women's Regatta and all of that stuff. So I hated rowing till I was 15 because I just was sick of hearing about it. And then... when I was 16, I'd been playing football was my main sport. Well, I did a lot of different stuff, but football was the main sport. And then at that age of 16, I was playing for Wimbledon Ladies. Yeah. Nice. And this is amazing as well, because before, I think the first semi-pro women's football team had just come into play, and that was Fulham. Having seen the change now, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. I needed a new sport, and my parents just softly suggested... Did you want to just give rowing a go? And I just thought, oh, go on then. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it, because I think you've got to train. You've got to be willing to throw yourself into it and train so hard. So I just threw myself into rowing from 16 until I was then 23 when I gave up, which in hindsight sounds really young, but it had run its course, and I didn't make. I was going for the Beijing Olympics, and I made sort of like the B squad when we went to the European Championships and did well, but I just thought, can I do another 4 years and cling on for London, knowing that I could get to that 4 years and not make it, and I could, and I just thought, I'm not willing to do that 4 years. I'm done. And
so then you stopped. So then what happened?
I stopped. Then I went, I think I need to get a real job. Because all I'd done to that point, I had no work experience, nothing on my CV. I went to university, but I went to a university where I just rowed 2 or 3 times a day. You train 2 or 3 times a day. That's what you have to do. And so it was, my whole life had just been sport. And so I then just started Googling ideas for careers, because I had no idea what I was going to do. And advertising and marketing intrigued me, because I have a psychology background from uni. And then I ended up working as a receptionist in a PR company in Soho. I had a little pink bubble.
Get you?
Yeah, I know. I honestly thought I'd made it.
Never, ever.
Oh my God. I used to pick up from Sputnik Communications. How may I help you? And it's this PR company that looked after like the Duchess of York, and Sir Trevor McDonald would come in. Sir Trev. Yeah, man. So, but it was just so exciting. Got paid nothing. And that was exciting, but very quickly decided that wasn't for me, and ended up then applying for grad schemes and got on a graduate scheme at Sky TV and did marketing there for 6 years.
Wow.
Yes.
So one of my actual typed out questions was, have you ever had a proper job with a pension and a holiday entitlement? And
yes.
Maybe
I tried it. I did. And I actually think it's really good, because even though I only did it for those 6 years, I understand that world. I understand the restraints on it, and that feeling of, well, this is just the way it is. But when I was 28, I just was sat at my desk, and I'd been fighting trying to line up boxes in a PowerPoint presentation for an hour, and I just caught sight of myself.
Yeah.
And I just had this revelation that, you know what, you kind of get on this little treadmill of life, and I hadn't stopped to think that I didn't have to be there if I didn't want to be. I'd got a job and I was in a great job by everyone else's standards, but I just thought, I've just spent an hour of my life lining up boxes in a PowerPoint presentation, and this is precious, this is life, and I don't want to do that. And the other thing is, people around me loved their job. I mean, they were so excited. And I just realised everything I enjoyed about my life was the weekends. And I also really struggled with trying to be myself in the office. I was constantly told to be more serious, personal development reviews, and so I never felt like I could quite be myself. It was an amazing company, I had great fun, but I just thought, I don't think this is what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. So what else would I do if it wasn't this? And I'd never been travelling or an adventure, and I just recently picked up a cycle touring book, and that blew my mind. I thought, what do you mean you can go and cycle around the world with not booking with a company, and you can just take all your stuff? And so I thought, that's what I want to do. That sounds like a perfect way to travel.
And that's what you did?
And that was it, It took me a year to plan and leave, and I had no money. And I worked 5 days a week in an office doing marketing work, and then I worked Saturday and Sunday in a bike shop in Kingston. And kept it quiet from work because I didn't want them to think that I was too tired. And did that for 9 months, worked 7 days a week for 9 months.
Oh my God.
Put on loads of weight, ate loads of croissants and baked beans, hardly slept, and then got on a plane and went and cycled through every state of America, and my life just changed.
What was the goal?
The goal was I just felt like I just wanted an adventure. I think that's what a lot of people, women especially, we just want a wild adventure in our life. Like, I just wanted some excitement. I wanted to just fall back in love with the world. I wanted to learn new stuff. I just felt like I was in a cycle and I wasn't learning anything, and I'd stopped. I wasn't growing as a person as well. I just felt I felt a bit caged, and I just thought, I just want to be free. And so the idea of taking off on a bike, and all of the unknowns that came with it, and all of that nervousness as well, that was really exciting. So the goal was just to go and see how it felt to be a bit freer and learn new stuff and see a bit of the world.
And did you spend of all that time? How long were you cycling? Was it 6 months?
It was 7 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
So was that mostly on your own, or did you have?
I had a friend with me for the first 2 months, which was really cool. She was a school teacher, so she literally left school, hopped on a plane, came with me, did 8 weeks of cycling, got on a plane, went back to school.
Oh my God.
And at one point, as we were leaving, and I said, I think it was somewhere in Nevada, I had to say goodbye to her at the base of this mountain before I was going to go and cycle over it. Thanks. But she was having second thoughts. She said, I don't want to leave this life, And I said, I know. But equally, it'd been amazing to have her with me, and I was about to head across the Nevada desert, which I was very nervous about. Mm-hmm. But equally, I was pleased that she went home, because I thought, I have to do this alone. I have to, because I'm scared of it. I have to do it alone, and if I've got someone with me, it's a bit easier. Yeah. But she kind of eased me into the start of the trip. She's a legend. Yeah.
Did you enjoy the bit that was on your own?
Oh, loved it. And I think that's where I realised, because people couldn't believe it. They would say, don't you get lonely? Don't you get bored? I never got lonely or bored, not on that ride at all, because I was always on roads. Roads always lead to somewhere. I'm a British woman on a pink bicycle. I mean, I had to hide at petrol stations because people would just want to talk to me all the time. And I actually just found it gave me the mental space that I'd been craving to just be creative. And I started writing again, and I hadn't written since school. Well, I did really badly in my A-levels at English, so I gave it up and thought, well, I can't. I'd always wanted to be a writer since I was a kid. I've got so many poetry books. I wrote poems about twiglets. I mean,
who doesn't?
I wrote poems about everything, and I used to write all these creative stories. And I got told off in history lessons because I'd make up what Henry VIII had said, because I'd elaborate into some awesome story. But then I'd done really badly at my exams, so I'd given up writing and thought, well, I can't be a writer. And then suddenly, being on new adventures, it brought back all that loving writing, and people enjoyed what I was writing. So
yeah, I must admit the barefoot stuff, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But there was a bit where when you were encouraging people to join you on sections of it, and there were you put, I thought, a very thoughtful little bit in there when you got an email back from you to say, yes, please join me on this section. that said I might not be in a talking mood or something along those lines. It just said
yeah.
that if I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by lots of people, that I might sort of hang back or go in front or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, well done for saying that, because it must be exhausting to not only run all these miles, but then actually have to be sociable at the same time.
Yeah, and I think I was trying to be conscious of that on the run, but I think as time goes on, you get older, you do get more okay with protecting your own space and your own energy. But it is strange because we've talked about the introvert extrovert scale of ourselves, and I definitely am slightly towards the more introverted side. But I love. There's something about it's almost like and on that run I like to create an environment for people to come and be together, and then I'll slip out the back and happily not chat to anyone, but know that everyone's having a really nice time. But I don't need to be a part of it except to watch it happen. Does that?
Absolutely.
And I kept spotting myself doing it. And you know, I would say things like, "Oh, I need to run out the back so I can see because of my bare feet." But the reality was, I was just happy that back there, just watching everyone have a lovely time. It's so weird, but it's amazing. But I think it is important to protect that space, and I think those starting to do the adventures showed me that I am the kind of person that enjoys spending lots of time by myself, and that's cool. That and I think unfortunately the modern workplaces are set up for extroverts.
Yes.
You know, open plan offices, loud noises. A lot of meetings are the people that speak the loudest get listened to.
Yeah.
And so I think having been in an office environment and then going to a place where I could be a bit more introverted was.
Yeah, and I was thinking, because that was something I wanted to talk to you about. Mental health, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I read somewhere that a few months after you returned from the New Zealand trip, there was a quote where you said that you were cycling down the Edgware Road with tears pouring down your face. I found that quite upsetting.
No, it was horrendous.
So tell me what happened there.
You know, so I know the mistake I made with that. I came back from New Zealand and so that was my second big adventure, and I'd started to think maybe I want to do this as a living. And so whereas the first one I was just doing it for fun, the second one there was a bit more pressure, and then I came back and I put that pressure on myself, and I of course then still had to earn money, so I was still freelance marketing 3 days a week, writing a book 2 days a week, writing the New Zealand book.
Yeah.
And I just was frustrated with that I couldn't spend all my time working on the projects that I love, that I had to do 3 days a week of something that was going to earn me money. So I was frustrated with that, and I was also, I think, on an adventure, your goals are very simple. You wake up, you run or you cycle. You need to get to the end of the day, eat, sleep. That's it. And suddenly then when you come back to modern life, there's notifications and emails and social invites, and it shows you how complicated modern life is. And I think the mistake I made after that New Zealand run is it was the first time I'd probably experienced that level of intensity of being overwhelmed and simultaneously frustrated. And I tried to shove it aside. I'd just gone straight back into, I think within a week of being back, I'd sorted myself a job, I'd moved house. I'd just gone, right, normal life.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah, so the Edgware Road was, I left, I was working, my part-time job was at an office at the top of Edgware Road, and I left there and I just cracked, and I was gone. I just thought I'm frustrated. I was just frustrated. That's when I cry. I don't know when you cry, but
what? Just anything? Adverts normally.
It's for me. It's frustration. It's just I'm so frustrated, and I've got no outlet for this except tears.
Yeah.
And I'd started dating Jamie at the time, so he got it. So he sort of listened, and then I managed to.
And what was the result of that?
The result of that was, I think, taking pressure off myself and realising, I think ambitious people tend to do this. You know, I was trying to write a book, and yet I'd given myself a deadline and a schedule. And the reality is, if I didn't hit that deadline or schedule, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everything, all the pressure I was putting on myself was all self-imposed, and I've done this big thing and nothing's different, and I shouldn't be working why am I working in an office? This is not what I want to do with my life, and so frustrated. But I guess the outcome is I had to remind myself to be patient, and also to stop and go, what I just did was pretty cool. I just ran the length of the country. If I do nothing else with my life, well done, Anna.
Yeah.
So I think it was about stopping and looking back and actually taking stock, because sometimes I get frustrated that we're not moving. Don't think I'm progressing as fast as I should. And then you actually stop and look back and think, well, I've grown so much. So
So then at some point between then and the start of last year, a plan was brewing.
A plan was brewing. Yeah, that was it. So that was what I probably had, I think about 2 years between, oh no, because I went to the Andes. I completely forgot. I went cycling in the Andes.
I always forget the Andes. Yeah.
I was thinking,
when was that? When was Hadrian's Wall?
Hadrian's Wall was with my friend who came on the cycling trip with me. So that was before New Zealand,
right? Okay.
And that was starting to experiment with longer runs. And yeah, we dressed up and ran the length of Hadrian's Wall dressed as Roman soldiers.
Right. Yeah, because you do.
Yeah, she's a history teacher, so we'd run along and she'd say, "Did you know, Anna?" "No, Lydia, I don't." It was great, and so I started to experiment with smaller runs, but between finishing New Zealand and going and doing the Barefoot Britain run, I did go on another big cycling trip with a friend, and they were with me the whole time on that one, and that was an amazing journey. But the Barefoot Britain run was just time for another run. I love running. I mean, if you said you can either run or cycle, run.
Really?
Always. I'll even say that to a cyclist's face. I don't care. You can't. If someone took running out of my life, I would just feel suffocated. Whereas if you said you can never ride a bike again, I'd say, okay, can I run?
So how did that start? The barefoot thing. How did you get there?
That started actually 3 years before I did it. It started as a tiny, and this is how most ideas start, a tiny little seed that just went in my mind when I was in New Zealand watching kids in the North Island. They often go to school barefoot until they're 11. And I just looked at them and I had this pang of jealousy. I'm jealous of the children. I just thought, that looks like fun. And then I remembered running around barefoot as a kid, and my mum was always telling me to put my shoes on. And I don't know, there's just something so feral about it and free. And I just started to think, God, it'd be fun to be barefoot more often. I feel like that would be a nice thing. And then I'd read Born to Run. Read that book.
Yeah.
Probably did what everyone who read that book and was inspired did, which is go out, buy a pair of minimalist shoes, run 10k, smash your calves to bits, and then don't run for 3 months. So I had that in my mind. I tried it once before and it didn't go particularly well.
Yeah.
But I thought I wasn't really very gradual with it, with the whole transition to minimalist running. So when I came back from New Zealand, I'd gone into just wearing minimalist shoes in everyday life, walking around in them, and found that I felt, for a start, my calves and my thighs, when it was like someone had just gone zoop and like sucked, they just went, all the muscles defined.
Really?
Honestly, if people are struggling to tone up their legs, just wear barefoot shoes, because whereas the shoe would normally take it, you constantly having to correct your position, so all these tiny little muscles are working.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's what happened to me anyway. And so then after that seed had been in my mind for a while, I basically spent 1.5 years thinking, is a barefoot run a crazy idea, or is it possible if I prepare properly? And then with 1.5 years to go until I wanted to start, I said, I think this is possible. It's going to be hard work, and I'm terrified, and I don't know if everyone's going to laugh at me, and I don't know if this is going to go so wrong, but I can't not do it now.
Did you already have that link with GirlGuiding at that point, or did that come a little bit later?
We talked about the word serendipitous.
Yes, we did. Favourite word.
My favourite word. I ended up doing a talk for them, and then I just got put back in touch with them, and then I'd become an ambassador for them, and it was around about the time when I'd already started thinking about this barefoot run, and I just thought I was almost looking for a new charity partner and a new connection, and it just, I can't explain it, but it just felt like everything was pushing me in the direction of we want you to be that person, Anna. Show these girls what's possible. Even though I came from a house with 2 brothers, and I'm not someone that's ever paid attention to whether I'm female or not. But I think that's the point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I'm female or male. I'm just doing these things.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like, there are a lot of girls out there who see these barriers, and maybe I can help. And now I've got this platform through GirlGuiding, and there's 500,000 members across the country, and I just thought, right, that's it. Boom, it just slotted into place.
Amazing.
Yeah, perfect storm.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So you started your training?
Started my training, 1.5 years of training, and it was, so the first run I was going on it was a cold month, and I thought it'll be fine. I'll just go out, let's just try and barefoot run straight off the bat.
No.
Yeah, And I thought I'll just do 20 minutes. And I went out on this hill in Cheltenham, and unfortunately it snowed the night before. And so I thought, well, it might snow while I'm on the run. I can't have that as a reason not to go running. So I ran up this hill, and I thought 20 minutes, looked at my watch, right, okay, 20 minutes, off we go. I ran up this hill, and my feet were in agony.
Oh my God.
And I was thinking, oh, okay, just keep going. And then I managed to get my way to the top, and I thought, just keep going, don't keep watch, keep going. And I thought, right, that must be about 20 minutes down. I looked at my watch, I'd done 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
No.
And I thought, sod this, I'm getting in the car, I'm going back. So, disaster. And then I realised that was okay, and that wasn't a reason to give up. I just needed to take things back a notch and just be a bit slower with my transition. So I'd go and run 10 miles in minimalist shoes, and in the last mile I'd put these sock things on.
Oh, I read about those.
Yeah, Skinner's socks.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I eventually transitioned to running only in Skinner's socks. And then I would run in my Skinner's socks for 10 miles, and then the last mile take them off and go barefoot. And then eventually I managed to transition to 6 months of being barefoot when I ran. But bearing in mind, I would only run a maximum of 10 miles or maybe 12 in my bare feet.
You say that, but you did the London Marathon.
Well, that's why it was terrifying, because I think actually I had at that point, I'd done a 17-mile run, but on a very smooth rail trail when I was visiting my boyfriend in America. Yeah. So I stood on the start line of the London Marathon thinking, I've told all of my followers that I'm doing the distance of 100 marathons, and I'm stood at the start of my first one, and I've never run more than 17 miles on tarmac in bare feet, and this could be really embarrassing. And are my feet gonna rip? And I got so many messages. You get floods of messages from people who just love to lay fear at your door.
Yes.
Oh, be careful, I did this, and they sent me pictures of their bleeding feet and da-da-da. God. And thank you for that. Yeah. Like, why would you send someone that email? And so I just thought, am I just not going to be able to finish this marathon? Am I going to get halfway through and my feet are literally going to just explode and burst with blood? And then how am I going to manage all the marathons after that? And it went great. It was fine.
Yeah, spoiler, I saw the photograph. I mean, you did it. In an incredible time as well.
So I didn't wear a watch, no watch. I just ran by feel, because I had the chat with my boyfriend Jay, and he said, how are you feeling? I said, I think I'm going to try and smash it. And he said, why are you trying to smash it? What if you do some damage? You're only a month and a half out from starting your big challenge.
Yeah.
But on the day, I just went by feel, and and I did. I mean, I'd never run a timed marathon before, so I don't know. That was a PB, but I was pretty stoked with it, and I surprised myself, and I think that's a really nice feeling.
Brilliant. And then, so you started like a month and a half later. You started Barefoot Britain.
Yeah. And
I mean, the publicity around it really ramped up in the duration of the run, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, no, you're right. It did. I was getting a lot of local and regional press at the start.
Yeah.
And then it's so weird when it then goes national, because you know what the press is like, the urgency of it. We must speak to you now. And I'm thinking, I've been running for 6 weeks, and I'm carrying on for another 3 months. What's the rush? Chill your boots. But everyone wants to know now, I think that's you. And I just thought, for GirlGuiding, it's look great for me, wonderful for your ego. Yeah. But I just thought, for GirlGuiding, they need awareness, they need volunteers. So I need to jump on this now. And I did have some mad days where I was having a rest day from running, but it was just constant replying to people.
What was the what was the makeup of the run? So how many rest days did you have?
I had to learn, because I started off just planning them in at points where I thought I might like to take a rest, like a city of interest, like I'd have loads of time for sightseeing. Yeah. And I tried to. So I was doing sort of a rest day a week, but then somehow, somewhere near Inverness, I ended up running for 9 days without a break, and I'd pushed the mileage up in that week as well. So I was up to doing 22 miles days, and it was so hot. And running over the bridge into Inverness, there's a beautiful video of me online somewhere. I had a mile to go and just bursting into tears because I was ruined. And I got in there and I said, I'm not running for 9 days without a rest, too much. And so after that, I actually ended up mostly doing a day of rest a week. Mm-hmm. And then as I got further towards the end, I found that I could only hold my focus, or I could only, think it had to be 4 or 5 days and then a rest day. I needed that, it's the carrot, I was the donkey. Yeah. and I needed that. Okay, I've only got to cling on for 5 days, and if I can cling on for those 5 days, then I get to chill.
Where were you staying?
Mostly with the people of Britain. This is the other thing. I put out a post on social media. It was about 6 months before the run started, and I said, right, this is my route, roughly where I'm running. The route may change, the timings may change slightly, but vaguely, who is up for hosting a smelly barefoot run out as I come through? And I think Abby, who did the admin and the logistics support, she was just overwhelmed with emails. She got 120 within the first hour of putting the post up. She said, Anna! Yeah. And then we went through a process of slotting everyone in, and the hosts were great because I had a bag called Barry.
I've heard about Barry.
And so in order to be a host, it wasn't just, of course you can come to my house. It was, yes, I will help Anna's bag get from A to B. I will come and collect her from a GirlGuiding talk. They literally had to be my support person. And it was crazy because sometimes they might host me for 2 nights, and that was nice because I could, I had a little base, but quite often it was one host, the next host, the next host. Mm-hmm. So a lot of logistics. Yeah, the logistics were as difficult as the running, I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it.
But amazing. The people of Britain. I mean, well done, people of Britain. They've just offered to host you, and the kindness, and I just think that is everything I know about humanity. It was just laid out for me in the run, and it's lovely.
And I mean, you must have met hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of women, particularly. Do you think as you were running, or was it a mixture?
Yeah, it was strange because I didn't, even though I was doing it for GirlGuiding, I didn't set out to only have women come and run with me. But within the first 3 weeks, it became apparent that most of the people that were coming to run with me were women, And at first I thought, this is a bit strange, but actually in the end I just thought, oh God, I must be putting out some estrogen vibes, and there was a real sense of togetherness and empowerment in it, and I absolutely loved it. I just thought brilliant, and women are such great company when we're running. I mean, just brilliant.
That's true.
Yeah, I loved it. We were all just chatting, and it was beautiful to watch people come together. They had no common ground except they liked to run. They didn't know where they come from. They didn't know, and they often didn't chat about their family lives too much. They just chatted about random things. Like 2 people that joined us discovered they had a shared love of Victorian greenhouses, and they suddenly found this out and talked about Victorian greenhouses for half an hour.
Well, that's nice.
I know. So it was sort of this way of bringing people together. It's like a moving community going down the country as I ran. Beautiful.
Amazing. So it feels like, I don't know if this is true or not, but it feels like this barefoot thing, has been the most high-profile kind of adventure that you've done so far.
Definitely.
Has life changed since you've done it?
I think, has life changed? Not dramatically, and I think sometimes.
But you're more famous. Well, honestly, you walk into the National Running Show and be like, it's Anna McNuff.
I think the pink hair helps. That makes me easily identifiable. I think I'm definitely more niche, well known. If you're a runner in the UK and you're vaguely into something that's not just split times and marathon runnings, you probably would have heard of me, or someone will know someone, and that's really nice. And there is something special about the running community. It's just all good vibes, and I just love it. So it's really nice. And at the end of the day, I can't imagine what it's like for actual famous people, because I've been trying to walk to the toilet. It's just, and I want to talk to everyone, and I want to spend that time. So, but I'm so grateful to these people, because all the people that read my books, or they follow me on Instagram, they allow me to do what I do and to keep going back out there and doing these things and being able to write about them. So I'm just so grateful. They're all my employers, basically. Thank you for keeping me out of an office. Yay! Yay!
And so you must be writing a book about this.
I am. Yeah, I've started it. Yeah.
Do you have a deadline for that? I'm not going to press you.
Yeah, I've given myself a deadline. I've given myself a deadline to do the draft by June. Normally takes me about 6 months. So I've got I have word count limits that I try and hit. But it is hard because it's not an easy thing to do, if that makes sense. And it never gets easier. I'm sure you understand that about writing.
Yeah.
You can find everything else to do except write.
Yeah, and all my unfinished novels. They're all here.
There you go. It's hard. And then when I sit down, I think this is why not everyone does it, because it is hard.
Yeah.
But I do love it, and I especially love the editing process when you've done that first draft and you print it out, and I get a pen and I sit in a coffee shop with a fat manuscript and then I rip it to pieces.
Oh, you're a secret sub-editor.
Yeah, I love it. I really love it. And I love this. I just love words as well. There's something about a bit like when you're giving a talk, there's a feel and a flow to things. And I think when you're reading a book or a story, the way the words kind of tumble down the page, I think I really enjoy that. How am I feeling as someone reading this?
Oh, God. So if you had to give up one thing, running or writing?
Oh!
There we go.
I couldn't choose between those two. I don't know. I really couldn't choose. That would be, I couldn't choose. I love them both equal. See, I'm a closet geek. I just love sitting in coffee shops writing. And I said to one of my friends who also likes writing, I said, the best thing about enjoying writing is that my happy place lives in the space between my brain and my fingertips. Oh. So you've always got it with you. And I think I feel very grateful that that's the way I feel about that. So, yeah.
Amazing. So what's your next adventure? Apart from the book, what's your next thing? What's your next plan?
No idea. Just we're going to do the family thing. We're going to try and have some babies. Hello. So honestly, that is the next thing. And I keep getting asked that. What are you doing next? What are you doing next? Yeah. And normally I'd have an answer, but I'm not that worried, because I know at some point a new adventure will pop into my head and it will not leave me alone. And when that time happens, I will be ready for it. But right now, I need to process and write up and share what happened in the Barefoot Britain run.
Would you and Jamie ever do one together?
Yeah, definitely we will. I think when we've got babbies, I think that'll be it. It'll be. I just had this idea, like a baby baton relay or something, where we just pass the kid to one another as we go along the country. Oh my gosh, yes!
Amazing.
But yeah, and that's what we've always said as well, because it is quite tough. We both do the same thing, but we'd always said, let's continue to adventure apart until we have kids, and then we'll probably do shorter stuff apart or longer stuff together. Yeah, and our family becomes the adventure. So I'm excited. It's a new chapter.
I love it. New chapter. See how you type that in seamlessly. My God, you are a writer.
Can we have the Disney thing where you turn the page and they go pring?
Yeah.
Do you remember those books?
I'm going to put it in.
Yeah,
I'm going to put it in the podcast.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
You see, I told you she was lovely. I hope you enjoyed our little pod. There are more on the way. We will be chatting to runners you know and runners you don't know, but all of them are awesome women, and all of them will keep you entertained as you run. At Women's Running, we want to inspire you to run, whether you've never run before or you're training for your 5th ultramarathon. We think that women who run need a space for themselves, and we want to be that. Every month, we talk all things running and all things women, from training plans for specific distances to interviews with incredible runners, ideas on how to improve your running and remain injury-free, to delicious recipes to fuel your running, and tons of advice on women's health. The easiest way to get hold of a copy is to go to our online shop at shop.womensrunning.co.uk. Or you could get it delivered direct to your door or to your inbox every month by subscribing. You can buy the digital edition at pocketmags.com or download the app to your phone or tablet through your app store. For all the different ways to read the magazine, go to shop.womensrunning.co.uk. Do join us. We would love to have you with us. Happy running.